Going into this, I was initially worried about staying in a motel in town, so far away from the forest. It seemed kinda silly for me to not be as close as possible to the story. But I'm glad that Mr. Beatley talked me out of camping. It gives me this chance to experience life as the locals do, to absorb the atmosphere of the town. It gives me a chance to take in everything good about the area, rather than just focusing on the negative. Woodview is certainly a much smaller town than Hayfield. Heck, it's not even a town, I don't think, but a village. Sure doesn't feel like it, though. Place feels just as busy as back home, albeit much friendlier. I'm currently inside the Whelan Dine, a small diner run by Maria Whelan, mother of the recently missing Marcus Whelan. Last week I figured I would stop by and offer my condolences and any help I could give after what happened, and I've sort of made a habit of coming back almost daily. Maria doesn't seem all too shaken up about her son's disappearance, but I have a feeling it's eating away at her. She's just too proud a woman to let it show. She declined my offer to help around the place, but I think just the company and knowing there's someone to talk to is reassurance enough for her. Her daughter, Jamie, the one that reported the event after her brother went missing, has been operating the front of the house more often since the disappearance. It makes me question how much of her involvement is Maria trying to take Jamie's mind off of it and how much is Jamie trying to lighten Maria's load. Maria's husband passed a few years ago, so it's just been the three of them. But now with Marcus, well, for now. Well, at least I hope it's only for now. The two of them are trying their damnedest to keep up alone. I'll tell you this, though, business certainly hasn't slowed down, which may be part of why the two don't seem as distracted as they were initially. With Woodview being quite a few miles away from another town or city, the village seems to get a lot of traffic from hungry travelers in addition to the locals. I mean, this is the perfect little spot to start a business. I've seen a few truckers in here the past week, and plenty of the townsfolk come here on the daily. You can feel how tight-knit of a community Woodview is, just by seeing how the folks interact with one another. Despite what's now over 24 tragic disappearances taking place mere minutes away from their town, they try to carry on with their lives and continue moving forward, helping each other along the way. Of course, there are those that certainly let it show, especially those who have lost someone over the past 2 months. And when these folks like Maria show vulnerability, the rest of the town, village, does their best to aid and comfort however they can. I've definitely been welcomed into the community as well. I know a lot of the other guys back home were always worried about seeming like outsiders whenever they had to stay in a different town. Maybe it's because I've been here for, almost 3 weeks now? Most everyone else at the press is usually out of town for a week at best. Granted, that's how it was supposed to be for me, but I'm not leaving until this case is thoroughly covered. My plan going forward is to dedicate time to interviewing residents and checking up and helping on site at the forest for the next week or so. I may have to travel into some neighboring cities to interview friends and family members of visitors who went missing too. I've conducted a few phone interviews, but the quality of calls here in Woodview honestly isn't the greatest. The motel's telephone lines are down, so that's a non-starter. Aside from not being able to find a quality phone anywhere to use, most of the payphones are busted or decommissioned. Maria's let me use the diner's line a few times, but I feel bad for taking up something she could be using to take phone orders. And, me, I hate being an inconvenience to folks. That's why I don't want to use anyone's home line either. Between you and me, though, Miss Cooper, I've been thinking more and more about this story assignment. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm more than happy to work on my first investigative story. But why on earth would Beatley have me covering a story that's not even in our state? I know we've done state and nationwide coverage before, but those are special occasions, and we usually try to keep things focused to Hayfield County, don't we? Why some random missing persons case almost 4 states away? Maybe I'm just overthinking things. For all I know, Beatley threw a dart at a board and gave me a random assignment just to get me off his back. I don't know. Just something about it kind of bugs me, Sophie. Anyway, right now I'm keeping it local. There are plenty of people around here who have had more than their fair share of things to talk about, even if a lot of it isn't related to the forest incidents. Between you and me, I've even given some time to those folks I mentioned before. You know, the ones who said this was some sort of alien conspiracy or the rapture. Gotta be honest, something about their small-town charm makes it impossible not to listen to their stories at least slightly seriously. I guess when there's not a lot of media access, your main form of entertainment is storytelling after all. One of these conspiracy types, I think his name was Mandelbrot, kept going on about something to do with dimensions and not seeing what we're supposed to see, but seeing what we want to see, and honestly, I kinda tuned him out after a few minutes. He did tell me to talk to a local descendant of the Wyandotte tribe, Reed Redio. He said he might have some stories for me, so I've got an interview scheduled with him next week at the library. If Beatley gets mad at me for going this route, you'll cover me. Right, Miss Cooper? No, I'm kidding. This is more so for my own interest. If I'm gonna be stuck here a while, I've gotta keep myself entertained somehow. I won't say I'll be sad when I leave and get back to city life, but I've been growing used to the quieter atmosphere. The countryside is a lot nicer than I thought it would be. I could do without the extra mosquitoes, though. I definitely won't miss that. I will miss the folks, though. Not a lot else. Aside from missing the people, though, when I leave, there's only one thing I can think of that I'll definitely miss. Maria's coffee. Awful, awful stuff. But it grows on you eventually. Maybe next time I visit Woodview, I'll just have to bring you along. Sophie. Martin Holloway.